Hello. I am the Linux Mench. Today I did a manual install of Arch Linux using the June 1st ISO. And I screwed it up. I made two mistakes. Both of them were typing errors, keyboard errors. So I showed it on camera and I showed how to fix it. So let's get to it. So what I'm going to do is open up my virtual machine. So I'm going to open up Virt-Manager. And these are my virtual machines. And as you can see, I deleted all the old Arch Linux installs I had. And they weren't really that old. Some of them are recent. So I deleted them. So you can see I have Windows 11.10, MX Linux, LMD E5, which is Linux Mint based on Debian, Linux Mint based on Ubuntu, and I have a pure Debian version. I'm going to hit the plus sign. This is Virt-Manager. So I'm going to hit the plus sign. I'm going to go forward. It's asking for a browse. So I'm going to click on here. I'm going to browse local. And I'm already in there because I was in there a moment ago before I turned on the video. So I'm in my ISO Arch June 2023. I'm clicking on this ISO and you can see it's Arch Linux 2023 June 1st ISO. I'm going to open it. And I'm going to click forward. And I'm going to give this 4096. I'm giving it 4 gigs of RAM. I'm going to give this 4 CPUs. I'm going to forward it. Automatically it went to 20 gigabyte hard drive. I'm going to leave it at 20 gig. If you're going to be storing lots of files in here, you're probably going to want to make it more than 20 gig. You can make it whatever you want. But I'm going to leave it at 20 gig because it's just a virtual machine for making videos. So let's forward it. And let's just leave that name there. You can put any name you want here, but I'll just leave it as Arch Linux. Let's finish it. And now it's booting into the machine. Let's just make this full screen. Hit enter. And it's just booting up. So we are now logged in or booted into the ISO in our virtual machine. And first thing I'm going to do is make the font larger. Set font tier -132N. And I'm going to clear the screen. Next thing I'm going to do is set the time and date. Qtile set NTP true. Then I'm going to go into CF disk. I'm going to format my disk. Whoops. I made a mistake. I'm going to go with CF disk. And I'm just going to pick DOS. So it's showing the free space is, mouse doesn't work properly in this. It's showing the free space is 20 gig. And I'm going to hit new. I'm going to change that to 200 meg. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to hit primary. I'm going to use my arrow keys and click on bootable. Then I'm going to use my arrow keys. Oops. Somehow I went down there. Let's go back up. And I'm going to go to right. On a right. Oops. Not doing this right. There you go. We're in right. So I want to write this 200 meg partition to the drive. I have to type in yes. Now I want to use my arrow keys to go down to the free space. I'm going to hit new. And it's showing the partition size is 19.8 gigabytes. I'm going to leave it the way it is. Primary, yes. Use my arrow keys to go to bootable. Hit enter. Then use my arrow keys to go down to write. And I'm going to write it. I'm going to type in yes. And that's done. Now I'm going to use my arrow keys to go to quit. And I'm going to clear the screen. Now I'm going to type in mkfs period ext4 space slash dev slash sda1. Oops, sorry, VDA1. If you're doing this on a bare metal hard drive, you'd want to do SDA1. And of course, you just should always do an LSBLK to check your drives to make sure you're doing this to the right drive. This is a virtual machine, so it's going to be VDA1, and I know that's what it is anyways. And hit enter, and that's done. I'm going to do the same thing again, but I'm going to put 2 there. Hit enter, and that's done. Now I'm going to mount dev VDA2 slash mount. That's done. Now I'm going to make dir slash mnt slash boot. I'm making a boot drive or a boot partition. That's done. Now I'm going to mount it. Mount dev SDA1, oops, sorry, VDA1 MNT boot. Now that's done. Now I'm going to pull down the Arch Linux mirrors. So I'm going to do curl -o. Now there's already mirrors on here, but I like to pull down all the worldwide mirrors and choose only the ones that I like. So I'm going to do this -o Etsy pacman d mirror list https // linux.org /mirrorlist /all/ and if I did it right, it's going to pull down the mirrors. Now I'm going to go into it. So I'm going to go vim. Let's just clear the screen. Vim /Etsy pacman d /mirror list. And there we are. We're in all the mirrors. And if you go down to the bottom, there's like hundreds of mirrors. There's probably about 900 mirrors here. So I'm going to /America. Oops. I can't type. So this is one of the mirrors that I like to use. And go to the top. Let's paste it in and comment it. And let's just leave a space. There's another mirror that I like to use. Let's go to the top. Let's paste it in. Let's uncomment it. And 2 mirrors is good enough for now. Let's save the file. Let's clear the screen. Let's sync the mirrors. Pacman SYY. There. And now another thing I want to do is vim Etsy pacman.conf. Now this one I'm doing now, we're going to have to redo after the install. And I'm going to make it verbal package list and parallel download equals 5. Going to right click it and save it. Now I'm going to clear the screen and I'm going to continue on with my installation. So now I'm going to do pack strap mnt base -eval Linux LTS Linux dash firmware Linux. Let's do headers too. Headers, vim, and git. Let's enter it. And now it's downloading the base packages. Just going to take a moment, and if it takes too long, I might pause the video. We'll just see how long it takes. It's moving pretty fast. One of the reasons why I use America package build, it's a fast mirror and it's usually up to date. And there we are. So this particular download takes maybe 2 minutes. For sure, less than 5 minutes. So now I'm going to clear the screen and I'm going to type in this. Genfstab dash capital U / MNT. And you have to make sure you leave the spaces in here where I'm leaving the spaces. Space, arrow, space, / MNT / ETC / fstab. Let's hit enter. Now we're going to chroot into the system or change root. Okay. MNT. We just changed root, and now we're in the root of our base installation. And I'm going to continue on. Now I'm going to type in ln dash sf usr share zone info / America with a capital A / Toronto capital T space etc local time. Hit enter. Now I'm going to do vim etc locale period gen. And I'm going to go to English. Let's just scan down. Here we are here. This is the one we want. English Canada. These two here. We uncomment them. And of course, you could do English America if you want, because you might be in the States. And let's clear the screen. Now we're going to type in locale -gen. And it's generating our location. And we're going to do vim etc locale period conf. And we're going to type this in capitals. Language equals small en underscore capital CA period UTF. And of course, you won't put the C in there, A in there if you're in the States. You have to put the right thing in here, depending on whether you're in the States or the United Kingdom or somewhere else. Right? Dash, but for me, it's -8. It's the A because I'm in Canada. I'm going to save it. Right. Whoops, my caps are on. Whoops, let's do this again. That's better. Let's clear the screen. Now I'm going to make a host name. So I'm going to do vim etc host name. And you can put whatever host name you want in here, and this can always be changed later down the road. It's easy enough to change it. But I'm just going to call this Arch. And let's save it. Now we're going to type in, well, let's clear the screen. MK INITCPIO space dash capital P. And it's running this command. And this only takes a moment, so I'm not going to pause the video. Almost done. And then after this, we're going to set our root password. There you go. Let's clear the screen. We're going to type in pass WD without the O and without the R. Pass WD root. And it's asking me for my root password. So I'm going to put a root password in here. It's asking me to retype it, so I'm going to retype it, and that's done. Now we're going to hook up Network Manager. So I'm going to do pacman s Network Manager and grub. We're going to install Network Manager and grub. Yes, and this takes just a moment. So I probably won't pause the video. And there it is. So let's clear the screen. Now we're going to do system control enable Network Manager. And one thing about this command, you have to notice that Network Manager is one word, but the N for network is capitalized and the M for manager is capitalized. You have to have those two letters capitalized or the command won't work. Hit enter, and that's done. I'm going to clear the screen, and I'm going to type in grub dash install space dev VDA. If this was a hard drive, it'd be SDA. Hit enter, and we're almost done with the base installation. Okay, so now the next command is grub mk config space o slash boot slash grub slash cfg. And we just made grub. Now we're going to exit. And we are going to umount capital R slash MNT. Now we're going to reboot. Let's just shut down. Shut down now. And you know what? I didn't do that right. Let's just reboot. I typed that wrong. So now we're rebooting into our base installation. Make it full screen. Now the print is going to be smaller, the font is going to be smaller, and at this stage of the game I don't know how to make it larger, so I apologize for that. So here we're in our installation now. We are not logged on to the ISO anymore. We're actually in our installation, so we haven't made a user yet. So we're going to go into root. Root is the only user right now. Put my password in, and that's done. So now I'm going to make a user. So I'm going to do user add -m Mench. I'm going to give Mench a password. I'm going to do PASSWD, password without the O and without the R. PassWD, leave a space, Mench. I'm giving Mench a password. I'm going to type this password in. I'm going to retype it. And that's done. Now I'm going to make Mench part of the Sudo. I'm going to give Mench supervisor authority. So I'm going to type in, and before I do that, I have to reset my pacman.conf. Well, I don't have to do it before, but let's just do it before I forget. Vim etc pacman.conf. And let's just go back down here, make verbose and parallel downloads. For some reason, this doesn't stick, even though we did it at the beginning. After installation, you have to do it again. Let's clear the screen. Now let's go into Vim. Etc sudoers. And most people like to make the new person part of the wheel group. And that's the normal way that you would give someone sudo privileges. But I like to do it this way. You can do it this way too. This way I find is easier. I'm just going to copy that, delete the root, and put Mench in. Oops, that didn't work. Go back. There, that's better. Let's save the file. So rather than making Mench part of the wheel group and giving him sudo privileges that way, I just do it this way. I find this way is good, and I'm just saving it. Oops. Did that wrong. Okay. So now the file is saved. Now let's log out, and let's log in as Mench. The password in, and now Mench is logged in. Now I'm going to make a directory, mkdir.config. ls it, let's make sure it's there. ll, I'm doing this wrong. Let's ls it -a. And there it is. I know it's hard to see, but it's there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clone Mench's directory and install all my files from my GitLab repository, and you're free to do this as well. This is free for you to use. So type in git clone https://gitlab.com/artibis1/mench.git. And if I typed it right, it will download my, there it is, it worked. So it downloaded my Mench directory from my GitLab repository, and you're free to use this. So let's clear the screen. Let's type in ls-a. Oh, sorry, let's cd into Mench. Type in ls-a. And these are all the files. So I'm going to cat, let's vim auto app. So these are all the, and I apologize again about the font. I don't know how to make it larger at this point of the game. So these are the auto apps. And if you run this file, it's going to install all these apps. And some of these are applications that help the computer run. Some of them are applications that enable you to watch videos and listen to music. And there's all kinds of apps here. There's Rhythmbox, LightDM, there's Xorg, there's LibreOffice, there's Firefox. If you don't want to run this file, you can download it and open it and see what's inside of it without running it. If you run it, it's going to install all these applications. That's up to you. So that's how you open it. I'm going to get out of there, and I'm going to run the file. /auto. And it's going to run it. Ask for my password. Put my password in. Just hit yes, yes, and it's downloading all these files. So this download probably takes about 5 minutes. So maybe I will pause the video and come back. And like I said, you don't have to run this. You can open up the file and see what's in there and install manually one by one whatever application you want. Or you don't have to install any of my files. You can just install Firefox yourself and Rhythmbox or whatever VLC, whatever music player you want to use, whatever video player you want to use. Anyways, I'll be back in a few minutes. I'm going to pause the video and come back. And I'm back. I think that only took about 2.5 minutes. Anyways, I'm going to clear the screen. And now I have another, let's CD. Oh, we're already in Mench. Let's go into, let's ls it. And I have another configuration file here that I'm going to run. Oh yeah, it's up here in the corner. So the very top line, the second from the right, it's called run configs. Now if you want, you can open it up. Let's just open it. Vim run. You don't have to open it up, and this is what it's going to do. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to do it. And if you decide to do it, it's going to copy some configuration files into the folders where they should be. That's the first line. The second line is going to copy 3 wallpapers into your home folder. This line is going to copy my awesome and my Qtile configuration file for those window managers into the proper files. It's going to copy LightDM into the proper files, the configuration files, that is. It's going to set up a configuration file for my vimrc. It's going to copy my Zesh into root directory, my Zesh configuration file, and the very first line will copy my Zesh configuration file into your home directory. This line here, I don't know if you can see the cursor flashing or not. My mouse is not working yet. We're not at the point where the mouse will work. So it will copy, let's go up. So this file will copy my zeshrc into root directory. This is going to set some color theming. This line is going to enable the Bluetooth. This line is going to enable LightDM for startup. And this last paragraph here is going to set up the firewall. So let's just get out of here. I just went in there so I could show you what's in there. You don't have to go in there. You can, now I'm going to run it, and you don't have to run it, but I'm going to. So you do, to run it, you do period / run and hit tab, hit enter. And ask for the password, put your password in, and it's running it. In here, just hit enter, and we're done. Now let's just check our firewall. Sudo uncomplicated firewall status. Put the password, oh, and it's active. Okay, so everything worked. I always like to check the firewall to make sure that it got set up properly. So now I'm going to reboot. You don't have to reboot. You could log out, but at this point, I like to reboot. And we're almost finished. We have a few more things I want to do, and then I'm going to close the video. So now we have LightDM installed, and of course we can see we have the Cinnamon desktop installed. Now that's not configured. Now the Cinnamon desktop is not configured. So if you go into it, you're going to have to configure it yourself. And of course, you don't have to go into any configuration files. The Cinnamon desktop is user-friendly and it's easy to configure. But the Qtile and the Awesome Window Manager are configured. Let's go into Awesome. Type in the password. Here we are. We're in the Awesome Window Manager with my configuration file. Now there's a few more things to do before I close the video. We open a terminal, and I want to make Zesh to be, the one that, I want to make my Zesh shell the one that is automatically running when I log into my system. So we're going to type in Sudo vim etc password without the O and without the R. Put my password in, and I'm going to go to the end of the first line. Oops, I did that wrong. And I'm going to take bash out. I'm going to put zesh in. And I'm going to go to the bottom here, line 19, where Mench is. And I'm going to go to the end of the line where Mench is. I'm going to take out bash and put zesh. I'm going to save the file. Let's just do that. And let's reboot. You don't have to reboot. You could just log out and log back in, but hey, it doesn't take long to boot up an Arch system. Let's put the password in. And let's open up the terminal. And there we are. We're in my zesh file. Let's open up htop. So as you can see, this has 4 processors, 4 gigs of RAM. Swap is 0. I didn't give it a swap. And it's running at 221 megabytes. My 4 gigs of RAM, it's running on 222 megabytes of RAM. It's fantastic. My menu is here. Let's open up Firefox. There's Firefox. Calculator. Rhythm box. Now what you could do is type in, I'm almost done. It's just going to show you a few more things. And for some reason, my clock didn't get set properly. So I'm going to run through that again. So before I go there, let's do custom. I'm going to click on Materia Dark. Apply it. Let's go to icon theme, Papyrus. Apply it. Let's go to Power Manager. Let's make it full screen. Display. I don't like the Power Manager turning off my monitor or making my system go to sleep, so I always make these 0. That's up to you. So now I don't know why the clock is off. That doesn't normally happen to me. So I'm just going to change into root. And I'm going to type in this command. Time date control set NTP true. Asking for my password. So this is interesting. Something's not working. When I was in my password file, I accidentally messed something up. And now my root directory is disabled. I can't save anything in my root directory. So instead of editing this part out of the video, I'm going to show you how to fix it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut down now. And I'm having problems with that too. So what I'm going to do is close this. And I'm going to force the machine to go off. Force off. Yes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this and I'm going to go to here. And I'm going to go to CD-ROM. I'm going to browse. I'm going to browse. And I'm going to pick the ISO that I just built the machine from. I'm going to log on through the ISO. And I'm going to change this boot options. Whoops, before I do that. I'm going to move that. I'm going to make this CD-ROM the first boot option. And I'm going to apply it. Oh, there's no media. I didn't save that properly. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to click the ISO, open it, apply it, go to my boot options, make sure I'm booting onto the ISO. Now I'm going to open it. I'm going to click on. So what I'm going to do is I'm using the ISO. I'm going to log on to my installation and I'm going to fix the password file. I accidentally messed something up when I was in the password file. So what I'm going to do is set font tier dash 132 and clear the screen. And I'm going to mount into my installation system, mount dev VDA 2 MNT. Now I'm going to Chroot into the system. Arch Chroot MNT. So now I'm logged on to my installation. I'm going to do vim etc password. And I'm going to go up to the top. And I messed up this file when I was in here. Whoops. That should be a 0. And I'm going to save it. And also I'm going to fix this time. Time, date, control, set, NTP, true. So I'm not sure what the problem is. I don't know if this is something I did wrong or if this is the ISO. So let's shut down. Exit. Shut down now. So now I'm going to open this. I'm going to disconnect the this. No media. I'm going to go back to boot options. I'm going to take that off, apply it, and now I'm going to open it. And hopefully this fixed it. Put my password in. Let's see if I can get into root now. And that's fixed. So after fixing my password file by logging into my installation from the live ISO, mounting to it and fixing the password file, shutting down and closing everything down and relogging into my installation, I also had to reset the time. So what I had to do was log into root and I had to run these commands again. And I think initially when I was doing my install, I made a mistake in the way I typed in one of the commands. My instructions were not wrong, but I just made a mistake. So like I said, after fixing the password, I had to go back into my installation, go into root, and I had to rerun these commands. This one here, this one here, and this one, and this one. And that fixed my clock. So I'm going to get out of there, and I'm going to close that, and let's get out of there. Let's log into Qtile. And now we're in Qtile. open up Firefox. And now we're in Firefox. So that was an interesting video. I've done a manual install of Arch many times and I never made mistakes. Hey, but there's the first time for everything. And of course, the 2 mistakes I made wasn't until the end of the video, after I had installed everything and configured everything and I logged into my system. Then I realized, first of all, that the clock was off. Local time wasn't showing. It was showing universal time, UTC. I thought that's easy enough to fix. I'd just have to retype a command in. But the system wouldn't let me retype the command in. Now this command has to be retyped either as root or as your user using Sudo. But when I switched root by using su and going into root, I could get into root, but it seemed different. And root didn't have any authority to change this file. I thought, well, let's try doing it as Mench with Sudo. And Mench didn't have Sudo privileges. I thought, what the heck did I screw up? So what I did was I powered down the system and I logged on to the June 1st ISO and used that to log into my system and to mount into my new system. And I fixed things that way. So number one, I spelled this wrong. I spelled America wrong. And that's why it wouldn't show local time. And it was automatically showing UTC time, universal time. Because I spelled America wrong. And I couldn't fix this line as root or as Mench with Sudo privileges because I screwed up the password file. So let's go further on. So I always log into this password file to change root and Mench to log in with Zesh rather than bash. And you have to change this word here to Zesh. And down here with Mench, you have to change that to Zesh. So as you notice, when I open up the file, root is 00. I accidentally changed that 0 to a 1. Look, it changed to a 1. And I did that through mistyping it. I hit my keyboard, and then I saved the file and rebooted. So when I saved the file and rebooted, number one, my local time was off because I made a mistake on the install. And I couldn't fix my local time because root didn't have privileges and Mench with Sudo didn't have privileges because I messed up that line. So the only way to fix it was to log in with the June 1st ISO and mount it and fix it. So that was an interesting installation. I hope you learned something and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like it and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. I am the Linux Mench.